Do you want to create awesome pre-recorded webinars? Then stick around, because in this video I'm going to give you 5 awesome tips for your pre-recorded webinars. Let's go! Tip number 1. Think about repurposing and possible edits. As every marketer knows, repurposing is one of the most important things that you can do with your webinar. But you do need to think about it, because let's say you have an awesome webinar, but let's say you want to create snippets, for example, and you have your head that is slightly blocking the presentation. Well, if you create a snippet out of that for, like, let's say, social media, then you will have sort of half a text or half your face, because it's just overlapping, and you can't really how to create a snippet is to actually crop the image in order to make it a proper landscape, let's say for YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels or even TikToks and LinkedIn videos, of course, as well. And also think about repurposing. Please think about the dimensions of your video, but that's besides the point that I'm trying to make. It is very good to think about repurposing. So, but besides snippets, you can also think, hey, maybe I am going to I've recorded this webinar, but I wanted to have certain captions or subtitles. Then it is very good to think about the fact that subtitles take up space as well. So if you say subtitles, we usually go with 2 lines. Then it's a very good idea to up your presentation in your image, so to say, to up your presentation a bit so you have room for those subtitles or captions. And also maybe don't place yourself right at the in the corners below, because captions once again. So that is a good way to think about repurposing. And the final that I'm going to mention is, of course, make sure your audio is crisp and you don't have anything else, so you can repurpose it as a podcast even. Tip number 2, create a clear and consistent presentation. And tip number 3, leave space for your camera. And yes, because I would like to combine the two, because they are actually very similar and they do go hand in hand with each other. Because if you have created a very good presentation that is consistent, by the way, which is the first tip, make sure that you have a consistent presentation, because it's just nice for the viewers to look at. And since it is a pre-recorded webinar, you don't have a lot of, let's say, live solutions to fix certain problems that you might have in your presentation. So please, beforehand, double check your presentation and make sure that it is consistent, so that it is nice for every single viewer that is going to watch your pre-recorded webinar, that it's all nice and consistent and just easy for the eyes. So no very small images and then suddenly a large one. And also make sure that if you are making a presentation, just create one square in which you are going to make the presentations. Don't make the slides and things separate sizes or have text. Or let's say that you have a color background. Don't go over that color background and don't make it smaller. Just make it very consistent and nice. Because of tip number 3, you might want to leave room for your camera image. Because let's say that you have created an awesome presentation and you have recorded yourself with your talk that is going to help with the presentation slides, or the presentation slides is going to help with your talk. Then it is very nice to know that if you want to create a picture-in-picture effect in your edit, because of course it is a pre-recorded webinar, so of course you need to edit some things. And then it is very nice to know that you can create a picture-in-picture effect, because you have left enough room in every single corner. One, of course, for the subtitles, and then also think about the camera positioning, because let's say that you have an awesome presentation, but you need to put yourself at the bottom or at the top and very small, because otherwise you block your presentation. Then you have this tiny square which is you, and then the entire screen which is filled with presentation. So for that, I would say choose a color background, select the text or your image that you want to show, make it just a little bit smaller so you have room in every corner to put yourself in the picture-in-picture, and also leave a little bit of lines from that color background so that you're not entirely in the corner, but you still have some color space on the top and on the sides. So that is why it's important, 1, to create a very consistent presentation, and 2, to leave enough room for your camera. And also another camera tip is make sure that you are that your camera image, that you are nice in shot. So don't do a very zoomed out shot if you want to create a picture-in-picture effect, because otherwise you will be double as small, because 1, you don't have the entire screen filled with yourself. So you need to make yourself a little bit smaller, or scale yourself that is nice, and then zoom in on yourself so that you still have, so your viewers can still see your eyes and your entire face, because you are, of course, the presenter and it's your awesome story that you want to tell. Tip number 4, turn off notifications. Yes. I say it every single time that we host a webinar here at WebinarGeek when there are a lot of people in the studio. Please check your notifications. And for that, I have 2 reasons. One, just think about professionality, you know. You are hosting probably an amazing webinar with your expertise or your story that you want to tell. And it is just not very professional if a notification pops up. Now you might think, well, what's the problem with just one notification? Well, if I'm going to watch a webinar and somebody's notifications is popping up, then I immediately have sort of a sense, hey, I'm right here, right? You know, I'm your audience. I'm the most important thing for your webinar, right? So it's just a thing that for me as a presenter, notifications just show that you're not fully committed to the webinar and you think, oh, I might get a notification, and then you are busy with something else. No, I'm your viewer. I'm watching your webinar. I want to learn from you. You have my full attention. And if you are a presenter, I expect the same from you. At least that is what I always say from WebinarGeek. The viewers give your full attention, and so does the presenter need to do. And if there are notifications, that doesn't conclude that you as a presenter are giving 100% your full attention to the webinar. And of course, as well with the repurposing, if you want to repurpose your webinar audio as a podcast and there's a notification, you know, it's not very professional and it's just not nice to hear, especially if you are in a story and you are in the middle of a sentence and then a notification pops up, because every single time, as you know, notifications come always in the very worst times if you are hosting a webinar. So that is why I always say turn off your notifications, double check it. If you are working with multiple people, just turn your phone or your extra laptop, just no audio at all, because you as a presenter need to give your full attention to the audience since they do the same. Tip number 5, create interactions. Of course, since it is a pre-recorded webinar, you need to have interactions. And the biggest benefit of having interactions in your pre-recorded webinar is once again that you don't have the solution of fixing things live or engaging with the audience with you being live. So for example, if you are hosting a pre-recorded webinar, in that webinar you can't say the names of, let's say, your viewers, or you can't really live interact with them because it's a pre-recorded webinar. So that is the best tip, is create a lot of interactions. Just, hey, if you have questions, you can send it to me via this link, or let's say, hey, where are you from? Then you can set just random polls within your automated webinar because to keep the audience engaged without you being live there to engage with your audience. So since it is a pre-recorded webinar, you might lose a little bit of the live magic, but that is something that you can fix with a lot of interactions. And of course, within the WebinarGeek app, you have multiple interactions. You have a call to action, you have a poll, you have a quiz, you have an information box, and at the end, you all have a sales page or an evaluation page. So since you are not there to live interact and engage with them, you can set a lot of interactions within your pre-recorded webinar. And those were the tips. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about webinars, on how to host them, what gear to use, and what it's like to work at a tech startup, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click like on this video and hit that notification bell. And let me know, what is your ultimate tip for pre-recorded webinars? Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!